question has been asked about the use of proportions in Himalayan art. So I take this to mean figurative proportions, the proportions that are used for Buddhas, peaceful deities, semi-peaceful, wrathful, and wrathful deities. So yes, there is a tradition of using iconometric measurements to try and create the most ideal and aesthetically pleasing figures for the categories of peaceful, semi-peaceful, wrathful, as well as the form of the Buddha. These originate in India, and they come out of an Indian aesthetic system, of which there were many, because there were many regions of India in the first millennium, and they all had different ideas of what was beautiful and ideal for the human body, or deities with multiple heads and arms. For Buddhism, we find some reference in the Manjushri Mulakalpa, the Samvarodaya Tantra, the Krishna Yamari, and the Kalachakra Tantras. So these are orthodox sources. Then we have quite a few commentaries, Indian commentaries, not on those tantras themselves, but on Indian aesthetic systems and what is ideal for the creating of deities. Now, what are these iconometric measurements? Well, basically, in practicality, when a young student artist is learning to draw, they put vertical and horizontal lines onto a canvas, and there are certain measurements that are ideal for peaceful and wrathful. And there are many examples, there are many drawing books that give you examples of how do you differentiate between drawing Kalachakra as opposed to a buffalo-headed Vajrabhairava or a Manjushri or a Tara. So there are guidebooks for this, these iconometric measurements, and they are primarily used as a teaching method and used by students, the same way students who learn a language like the Latin alphabet or the Tibetan alphabet, you draw maybe three horizontal lines, and then you make the lowercase letters in on one level. You make full use of the three horizontal lines for doing capital letters. It's a guide system for trying to make acceptable figures of deities. Generally, as artists become more mature, more experienced, then often master artists will only use a center vertical line, and they will know how to place the faces or the arms or the ornaments based on their own experience. So no, iconometric measurements and these proportions, technical proportions, they're not a rule, they're a guide in Himalayan art.